Realized how chess is sort of like a conversation between egos, especially when you get caught up in the heat of the moment instead of playing more strategically or, thought out. So I was playing this match. I always open with this move, usually. It's just kind of the best way to defend the king. And I'm not like so good where I could just play anything and make it work yet. I moved the knight here just to do something different though. Not surprised. And then I move my queen here because that's another move I usually do, which is really good at defending against an attack against the queen. But from the queen, the opponent's queen. But also, it's also good offense. So I like this. I like this setup a lot with the pawn and the queen, and the knight is just kind of there just to be there. I moved the pawn upward just kind of to troll the bishop because my queen is defending it, and it also blocks the attack on the knight. So just a way of kind of having fun, really. And then I move the pawn up because what I have in mind, I think you could see my touches. So, or I could just describe it. I just don't usually talk about chess, but I moved this pawn upward from, I don't know, I guess that's d2. Yeah, d2 to d4 because I want to defend this spot with the knight and the pawn, but it also trolls the bishop because it's baiting this situation where he doesn't really have much of a choice but to move. And so he made the choice that I thought he was going to make, which means I make this move. And then he defends the pawn. And I attack because I have my queen here. Attack the pawn. He attacks my pawn with his bishop. Whoops. And I thought about using my pawn right here to defend, but I decided I should open up this bishop with my queen instead. So I moved my queen and defended the pawn at the same time. And he took the pawn, so I took the pawn. And he made a dumb move. I knew it was a dumb move, and the computer agrees. I'm not surprised. It was an obvious dumb move because I knew his knight was defending the bishop. It's a good setup. This is always something that, I don't know. It's very easy to put this defense with the bishop and the knight. So I was already aware of it. I wasn't like, I was going to attack the bishop either way, but I knew it would cost me. But he made a dumb move and moved the knight, I guess, to attack my pawn, which he does. That was his plan. Whatever the reason, I don't know. But he moved the knight, so I obviously took the bishop, and he went ahead and took my pawn. There's a few different moves that you can make, I guess, to go from here. If you're like a pro, you probably see a lot. And I could just take the knight with my knight, which is most obvious, but at the same time, my knight wouldn't be defended. So his queen would be open to move. I wasn't thinking about that as much, though, and obviously I want to defend my queen too. So I decided to move my queen to check him. And it also grabs his knight at the same time. That was my decision. Apparently, the computer thinks there's a better move. Maybe with my. No, I don't. I honestly don't know what the better move would be, to be honest. I feel like this was a pretty good move to go from here, checking him and attacking his knight. I'm not sure what a better move would have been, except maybe. I honestly don't know. I really don't know. But I decided to go here anyway. I think it was a pretty good move. He defends with his knight. And I took it. I don't know why he defended with his knight. I guess he was desperate, but there was nothing defending the knight. If anything, he should have moved the pawn. He is not a good knight. Um, I don't know. He does not control his knight well at all. He moves his knight here, moves his knight here, defends his knight, and then just gives it up. I don't know what was going on with his thought process with the knight, but it was just all wrong. And so from here, I knew that I could checkmate him on this square with my bishop, but his pawn is attacking. My plan was to attack this square with my knight to sacrifice to the pawn so that I could take it with my bishop and checkmate. That was my plan. And I guess he saw what my plan was, and he made another bad move. Like, he moved his pawn, and it was a reply. This is what I mean when I was talking about how chess is a conversation between egos. Because this was not only a bad move, but it was a reply to my plan. Because if he did obviously take my knight with his pawn, it would be game over with my bishop. But he didn't have to move the pawn. And it's a bad move anyway because now he's not attacking my knight at all. It doesn't make any sense for him to move that pawn other than for it to be an actual reply declining me of my strategy, of my plan. He said, so I moved my knight, sacrificed my knight to the pawn, and he says no. He says, I don't want you to checkmate me here. But instead of doing something about it, like moving his knight or his rook or his queen even, sacrificing his queen or something crazy like that, I don't know. Instead of actually making a decent move, he just says no. He says no. I don't want you to sacrifice your knight. You can keep your knight. And so I moved my bishop because my line of logic here was I knew I didn't want my bishop up here with the rook because he could just attack the bishop with the rook and then the queen, and it's not a good idea. But what I had in mind from there was he could move his queen here to attack my queen. So I went ahead and defended my queen. And then if he tried to attack, I would take his queen, checkmate, or check, or whatever. Checkmate, yeah. So that was the idea with the bishop. It says it's not a good move. I'm not sure what a better move would have been, really. I don't know. I'm not sure. But he makes another bad move. And I don't get it. I don't know why he made this move. It doesn't make any sense because he's still checked on this square with my knight. He can't move here. So it's not a safe square to go to with his pawn. I don't know why he felt so close. I don't even know how he felt, to be honest. He made this bad move. And then he made this bad move. I don't know what this was supposed to say. Maybe he regrets not taking my knight, but at the same time, he can't do anything about it. And then I have my pawn. But I realized that my knight is now attacking a pawn that is not defended. And so is my queen. So I took his pawn with my queen. Checkmate. This was a strange match. And it's a good example of how people can communicate in chess. He just declines taking my knight. He doesn't make a good move. He just says, "Nope, I don't want to do that." It's strange. I don't know. I don't know what was going on with this person. Maybe they were like high or something, and they were overthinking this shit like way too much. Because they made a lot of bad moves with the knight, and then they just decided not to take my knight. Like they could have at least took the knight, have a little bit of dignity, I guess. But no, they're like you can leave your knight there, and then I'm also not gonna defend my pawn. Whoops. I'm also not gonna defend my pawn anymore. So you can just have a checkmate because the knight's defending there. Anyway, that was an interesting match. See you.